Hello everyone, this is Khurshid Alam. I am partner in BDO Mongolia. Today we will be discussing some of the topics in this Mona CPA, and I am very glad to be invited by Mona CPA to deliver this topic. Let us start with cybersecurity. Cyber attacks have rapidly become major risk to business as breaches of information may result in financial and reputational damage, diminished investor confidence, and exposure to potential regulatory penalties. As a result, cybersecurity remains area of high priority for management and those charged with governance. Today we will discuss about consideration and procedures that can be performed as part of financial statement audit to identify if entity has fallen victim to a cyber attack and verify the impact of those attacks and is it properly reflected in the financial statements. Cybersecurity threat spectrum can be understood from two perspectives: internal threats and external threats. Internal threats to information security run from the inadvertent simple user error, loss of mobile devices, to the malicious internal fraud and data theft. In order to support organizations' productivity, we see that nowadays a lot of companies bring in policy, bring your own device policy, and we know that during the COVID environment we are working remotely. So this is bringing more challenges like cloud computing and other aspects of total mobility. Now this is imposing a new type of risk of more cyber security, and there is a high time for the organization to beef up their cyber security. The other external threats is basically from the hacker side. Today the hackers, we see they are quite well funded, they are persistent and sophisticated. People and processes are increasingly as much as target as is technology. Technology cyber criminals are very much quite motivated, and they are evolving these techniques. Back in 1990s, we used to have very unsophisticated, for the fun, some cyber attack. Now these has moved on and has become very sophisticated, malicious attack, corporate espionage, organized crime, and now even some of the state sponsored those cyber attack for political gain and other mileage. Let us see some of the cyber security consideration of business risk from cyber attack. So basically, if we see cyber attack, we see that although most of the industry are, regardless of its industry and its size, are subject to some form of cyber attack. Certain industries are more prone compared to other industries. These are public visibility, like certain entities maybe are more public visible, and they may have a high risk of cyber attack in the form of distributed denial of service. Industry and sensitive data some sensitive data, and some state-owned companies or institution may be of particular interest to state-sponsored cyber attack due to various political reasons. How cyber incidents can affect entities' business? Cyber incidents can affect in a broad way, like theft of financial assets, intellectual property, or other sensitive information belonging to entities, their customer or business partners. Objective may be to disrupt the operation of entities or their business partners. These cyber attacks may result in increased substantial cost and other negative consequences. For example, these, but not limited to, it may result into higher remediation cost, such as liability for stolen assets or information, and increase in the cost to repair the system for damages that may have been caused. Remediation cost may also include giving incentive to customers or other business partners in an effort to maintain business relationship after an attack. Increase cybersecurity protection cost that may include organizational changes, deploying additional personnel and protection technologies, employees training, and engaging third-party experts. These may also result in loss of revenue resulting from unauthorized use of proprietary information or the failure to retain or attack customer following an attack. Increase in litigation cost reputational damage adversely affecting customer or investor confidence. Let us discuss what are the possible impact of cyber incidents on the financial statements. Some of the possible impact of these cyber incidents on the financial statements are liabilities, provisions and contingent liabilities for losses from claim. Cyber incidents may result in losses from claims including those related to warranties, breach of contract, product recall and replacement, indemnification of counterparty losses. Therefore, such cyber incidents may result in liabilities for known obligation, provision for probable losses, or contingent liability where a future event will confirm the existence of an obligation. Cyber incident could also impact the asset impairment. Cyber incident may also result in diminished future cash flows, thereby requiring consideration of impairment of certain assets including goodwill, customer-related intangible assets, trademarks, patents, capitalized software or other long-lived assets associated with hardware or software and inventory. Therefore, clients should reassess asset impairment after a cyber incident. Other possibilities are cyber incidents may have a direct or indirect negative effect on the client's financial statements. Going concern, a serious cyber incident with significant implication may result in the need for management to reconsider the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Even if it is appropriate to continue preparing the financial statements on a going concern basis, disclosure may be required if there are material uncertainties related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Events after the reporting period, to the extent cyber incident is discovered after the balance sheet date, there may be a disclosure requirement, but before the issuance of the financial statements, the client should consider whether the incident is an adjusting event or a non-adjusting event. If the incident constitutes a material non-adjusting subsequent event, financial statements shall disclose the nature of the incident and an estimate of its financial effect, or a statement that such an estimate cannot be made. What are the auditor responsibilities regarding the cyber incident? As an auditor, we need to consider if cyber incident could result in a risk of material misstatement in the entity's financial statement, particularly when the entity has in fact identified the occurrence of a cyber security breach or other cyber incident. Our audit response to such a risk usually involves assessing the estimates made by management in reflecting the impact of such incidents on the financial statements, such as provisions, losses, contingent liability, asset impairment, goodwill, and subsequent event. We also need to assess the disclosure of such incident. Now let us consider the risk assessment procedures regarding cyber incident. Although it is not mandatory or necessary, the following examples of risk assessment procedure we may perform in a financial statement audit. These procedures may also provide an opportunity for the auditor to discuss the business risk with the management and may lead to best practice and other mitigating activities. IT general control and cyber incidents. Auditor is required to obtain an understanding of how IT environment relevant to the financial reporting process. The auditor performs this understanding by performing the general IT control and understanding the entity's automated control relevant to the audit. The reliability of information produced by the entity in obtaining this understanding may become aware of risk of material misstatement that could arise from unauthorized access to the entity's system and data. A point to note here is that cyber attacks usually initially occur in the perimeter and internal network layers, and typically these are not included in the scope of the auditor ITGC procedures. Usually, the audit procedures related to the access control are more directed at the application layer and the database layer, while the other parameters like internal network and operating system layers are not tend to be within the scope. Please note, financial statement audit responsibilities do not encompass an evaluation of cyber security risk across an entity's entire IT platform. However, we are responsible for evaluating the risk of material misstatement to the client's financial statement resulting from unauthorized access to financial related IT systems and data. Now let us see what is the management process and control related to cyber incident. The following procedure may help the auditor to obtain an understanding of management approach to address risk related to cyber incident. These are: inspect the cyber security policies and procedures and how these policies are communicated within the organization, determine the existence of cyber security awareness training program, assess whether there is a full inventory of the hardware and software deployed to prevent and detect the cyber incident, review the existence of data classification and retention program, observe if intrusion detection or prevention systems were deployed, or as well as vulnerable management program. Inquire if the client has a document incident response program. Inquire if the client uses encryption within the network to protect the sensitive information. Inquire if the client has cyber insurance. If the client has any car-related cyber incident, we shall assess whether such controls are properly designed and implemented. In addition, understanding of management process related control may lead us to raise risk of material misstatement regarding them. Cyber security. There are a number of audit procedures to both identify cyber incident and impact of such incident on the financial statements. One of the most important and common procedure is make a direct inquiry of both IT and financial management as well as internal auditor and internal legal advisor regarding the occurrence of any cyber incident during the audit. Perform an internet search like Google or etc. Examine internal IT audit report, minutes, legal invoices, regulatory correspondence, etc. Procedure to address identified cyber incident. Our auditor is responsible for evaluating an entity's accounting for material cyber incidents. Below are some of the procedures and evaluations. Evaluate the client's assessment of the severity and financial impact of identified cyber attack. Management's own investigations, whether performed internally or with the assistance of an external security expert, is the starting point for evaluation of cyber incident severity. The severity and financial impact of a cyber incident impact to the extent of audit response. For example, a DDoS cyber incident that causes the entity's email involve a cyber perpetrating gaining access to a large cache of credit card information. These would be considered a more serious incident with greater exposure to the financial impact. Access to the credit card information may also indicate unauthorized access to the entity's financial reporting systems. Evaluate the adequacy of the entity's analysis related to the financial reporting impact of the cyber incident, including financial statement disclosure and or accrual of related provisions and contingent losses and liabilities and impairment of assets. If the client has not completed such analysis, we can ask them to do so. Auditing the provisions and impairment may involve an assessment of estimation, evaluation of contingent losses, may require examination of legal matters. Evaluate whether the cyber incident related to deficiency within the entity's internal control over financial reporting, and if so, evaluate the severity of the deficiency. Although a cyber incident may have a financial impact, that does not necessarily mean that it is the result of control deficiency. Now, one of the most important point which I also like to touch is communicating with those charged with governance. The ongoing headlines about high-profile security breach continue to keep cyber attack on the minds of those charged with governance. It is critical that we explain them our responsibility regarding cyber incident, and more importantly, what has not been examined by us when it comes to cyber security during the audit of the financial statement. In all our communication with those charged with governance, we need to make it very clear that the audit focuses on systems that could impact financial reporting, and that there could be other non-financial systems that are critical to ongoing operations and vulnerable to attack. It is the responsibility of the management and those charged with governance to ensure the entity protect itself from cyber attack on all times in all of its system. Conclusion, I would like to emphasize once again that we are not evaluating the client cyber security program or providing assurance on it as part of the financial statement audit process. However, the auditor is responsible for evaluating the risk of material misstatement, including risk resulting from unauthorized access to financial reporting related IT system and data, as well as evaluating the impact of cyber incident has been properly reflected in the financial statement by management. Henceforth, I conclude this presentation of cyber security. Hope this has been useful to you. Thank you so much.